Hi everybody, it's Beth, and today I'm making a rustic wooden Christmas tree. I used one of these wall tiles from Dollar Tree and some of their tumbling blocks, some pine cones and different florals, some twine, antique wax, plaster chalk paint, wood glue, and hot glue. I started by taking the tumbling blocks and gluing them together to make my tree. I glued them on the longer side of the tumbling blocks. The first row, I did 8 blocks. And then for each row above that, I just did one less tumbling block until the top section had 4. So the bottom row has 8, next row has 7, next row has 6, then 5, then 4. After I had the pieces for the tree made, I needed to make a base for it. So I glued 5 tumbling blocks together and then glued together another 2, and then took those 2 and glued them on top of the 5. And then I let them dry for a little while. I let them dry for about an hour before I glued the next section together. So I needed to make my tree. I started with the 8 blocks on the bottom and then worked my way up until I ended with the 4 blocks on the top. And then I let that dry for about an hour again until I moved on. Then next I took the wall tile and I placed the tree on the back of it, kind of lining it up where I wanted the textured part to be on the front of my tree, and then just traced it out and cut it. And then before moving on, I just made sure that I had cut it to the right size and put hot glue on the front part of the tree and attached my wall tile that way. And once I had it all attached, I didn't like the pointy parts on each of the corners, so I just trimmed them a little bit so they weren't so pointed. So they were just kind of angled on each little corner. And then next I covered the entire thing, front, back, and sides, with the plaster colored chalk paint, and I did 2 coats. After all that paint was dry, I took my antique wax and kind of just thinly brushed along the entire front part of the textured wall tile. And then once I had it how I wanted it, I just took a baby wipe just to kind of blend in some of that antique wax. And then for the base, I took the antique wax and covered the entire thing, blending it in again with the baby wipe once I had it covered. And then after that, I took a couple of pine cones from that garland. I just removed them and glued them to the top of the tree. And then hot glued some of my accent pieces right below that. These were off of a little pick from, I believe, Dollar Tree. And then these little white pieces were from Hobby Lobby. And then I didn't end up using the twine. I was going to make a twine bow, but I ended up using some of this muslin fabric and just made a little bow. And hot glued that right on top of my floral pieces. And then the last thing I had to do was glue the tree to my base. So I just hot glued it right to those 2 blocks that I had glued on top. And here it is all finished. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching.